Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report. My name is Carlos Torres, along with Fred Altvater. We're checking on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Fred, and we have a big one today. How are you today?
Well, I'm pretty good, Carlos. We just found out that the LIV Investment Series is alive and well, and there were some surprising names that came out in the field for their first event at the Centurion Club in London, June 9th through the 11th next week. We're going to go through those. This has got some surprises in it. We have a lot to talk about tonight.
We have a lot to talk about, and finally the field was revealed. We are just days away from the start of it, and big news comes in the sense that star golfer Dustin Johnson was reportedly paid, and I'm going to say this, $125 million to join the Saudi Arabia-backed LIV Golf League, and that is according to James Corrigan and Tom Morgan of The Telegraph, hat tip to Ryan Glass-Steagall of the New York Post as well, who also seconded that, but it has already started the ripple effect, right? Johnson's defection from the PGA Tour to this controversial LIV Golf Series caused one of his sponsors, the Royal Bank of Canada, to cut ties with them immediately. I mean, and they said that as a result of the decisions made by him and also by GMAC, Graeme McDowell, who we will talk about, is also on that field. They are both right now out of that sponsorship. So a number of prominent golfers, and Graeme McDowell, Sergio Garcia, Ian Poulter, Kevin Na, Lee Westwood, Louis Oosthuizen, Martin Keimer, Charles Schwartzel, and Taylor Gooch, all will participate in London's LIV Golf Invitational Series. That is June 9 to 11, just next week. So we are just about to see that. The new league has reportedly been willing to throw major money around to entice former and current players. We talked about Jack Nicklaus, that he was offered around $100 million, and he said, no, I'm sticking with the PGA Tour. I mean, and that you should expect it. He basically helped create what the PGA Tour is. So also another name that we're missing so far, but it could still be added, is Phil Mickelson. We know that his controversial comments in November became public in February, and ever since it created a storm fire. But definitely he's not on the field yet, Fred, but maybe later. So I'm going to stop right now because we have a lot that we want to speculate and talk and maybe think through this. And what are your initial thoughts about this?
Well, the kind of money, I mean, if I'm Dustin Johnson, and they're going to give me $125 million just for showing up and only playing like 10 events a year, Carlos, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you got to take that. As an athlete, you could get hurt tomorrow and be done. On the PGA Tour, there's no guarantees. There's no, if you play, you make money. If you don't play, you don't make any money. So, I mean, he's made a lot of money. I think $74 million in prize money on the PGA Tour. He's got, a couple major wins. So, like you say, he doesn't have a lot to prove out there. He's got to win every year for what, like 12 years or something like that. So, Dustin Johnson is a big name in golf. And for them to grab him and get him, but to pay that kind of money for guaranteed, that's just really surprising to me. We all had a suspicion, and we already kind of knew several of the names. So some of them were not that surprising. Sergio, we knew was going to go. Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, Kevin Na, Richard Bland, some of these guys. Brendan Grace was a bit of a surprise, but again, not so much because his South African buddies, Charles Schwartzel and Louis Oosthuizen, have made the jump. So I think they probably said, hey, man, here's this guaranteed money. You got to go to America and you got to work your butt off to make money there. Here, it's just guaranteed. You just show up, no matter if you shoot 75 or 68, doesn't matter. So we kind of guessed at former champion Martin Keimer, because he's a guy that struggled over the past few years, and his money earning days on the PGA Tour are well behind him. Another little bit of a surprise, Brooks Koepka's little brother Chase has struggled to make it on the PGA Tour and has been bouncing around the world for smaller purses and less money than the guarantees that he can earn playing for a few events on the LIV. So I guess that makes sense for him. Peter Uihlein, he started out on the European Tour, struggled to keep his PGA Tour card. He has decided rather than tough it out on the Korn Ferry Tour and get better, he's going to take the money and run. Probably, again, a good decision from him. You know, he's from a wealthy family anyway. He doesn't need the PGA Tour money. So, you know, take the money and run, I guess. Another kind of a surprise, 30-year-old Taylor Gooch. He's been performing well on the PGA Tour and still young. Since 2014, he has one win, earned almost $10 million on tour. But again, guaranteed money speaks very loudly, Carlos. And I'm going to stop right there. I've got some more that I want to talk about, but I'm going to turn it back to you. So if you got any comments on these guys or somebody else that you want to talk about, I don't want to hog up the whole thing here.
Yeah, I want to just first concentrate a little bit on Dustin Johnson, right? Because he's like the one that really could turn the needle here. He's the most surprising one, basically because back in February, and I'm going to read this, he said this word. He said, "I am fully committed to the PGA Tour. I am grateful for the opportunity to play on the best tour in the world and for all it has provided me and my family." When you put that all into context, it wasn't really even though he says, "I'm fully committed to the PGA Tour," at this moment I am. But when you see the second part, I'm grateful for the opportunity to play and for all it has provided me and my family. That part to me sounds like yeah, thank you, but you know, I am still considering going and leaving you, you know. And today, Johnson's agent, David Winkle, he released a statement on behalf of Dustin saying that it was in his and his family's best interest to join the LIV Golf, and that Johnson had never had an issue with the PGA Tour and is grateful for it, all has given him, but in the end felt this was too compelling to pass up, which is what we have been talking right now. At the end of the day, the offer has been for him, somebody that has achieved so much already on the PGA Tour, definitely something he cannot pass up. Like you mentioned very well, at any time, Dustin Johnson can get, like it happened in the Masters a few years ago, that he fell through the stairs. Who knew that at that point anything could happen? His career could have been over, and that's it. Right now, anything could happen to anyone, we know, at any time, but this is just too much. And the situation that he's provoking now, and we have commented this, if Phil Mickelson's comments wouldn't have come out in February, or he wouldn't have made them, I'm sure that there would have been more top players actually signing. When that came to surface, not only Dustin Johnson, everybody started saying, "No, we're not going there," because of all the backlash that was going to happen. They know that some of this sponsors, like it happened with the RBC, came that immediately, and that's a question that I have, and I understand, and this is something else that we have said, if it wouldn't have been Saudi Arabia, no, I don't think there's going to be any sponsor that is going to say, "I'm going to leave Dustin Johnson," because he would still, right now, think about it, all the publicity that is being made for the LIV just because he said that he was going to go there, that's just worth it right now. Everybody's talking about Dustin Johnson going there, and the other names, like I mentioned, we already knew about him. Yeah, I got surprised also about Brandon Grace. But it makes sense seeing that Usti and Truxell, we have said that it's players that are past their prime. They can win here or there, but they are never, ever going to make the amount of money that they're going to make here on the LIV.
They're getting a $30 million guarantee, that's the number that was floated around early in this whole thing. They can't make that over a 7 or 8 year period on the PGA Tour. It ain't going to happen for them.
Yeah, and then the other part of the equation that we have talked also about who was going to go from the DP World Tour and go join there. There's a healthy number of DP World Tour nice players. that you can talk, like Richard Bland, Laurie Cantor, Henny DePlace, Oliver Fisher, Sam Horsfield, Pablo Larrazábal, Bernd Wiesberger. That was my big surprise. And that's a big player there in the European Tour that is saying, no, I'm going to go play here. Elsewhere, you can talk about the Thai amateur Ratchatanon Chantananawat, who appears age just 15. He became the youngest player to win an event on a tour recognized by the official World Golf ranking with his victory in the Asian Tours Trust Golf Asian Mixed Cup in April. So, and I know you have talked before to James Pyatt and in the show, and I know you're close there and have been trying to get in contact with them to get some news from it. Surprisingly, he played in this year's Master, missed the cut, but he's another amateur that surprisingly is there. So I'm going to stop now and get your feedback on that.
Yeah, his college career is over, so I'm sure he is now a pro. He's actually playing at the Memorial this week, and I was scheduled, as I told you yesterday when we talked, I was scheduled to be down there today, and I would have tried, with this news breaking, I would have tried to catch him up, talk to him, but I was too busy and had to stay home and work today, actually work. And but I was texting last night with his coach, and he really didn't tell me a lot except to say that, you know, he supports every decision that Pyatt makes. So Carlos says, I kind of thought this through a little bit and looked at it. So James Pyatt is a great player. He's a U.S. amateur champion. He's a really good player, right? But we've seen him now, I think, in about 3 pro events. Hasn't made a cut yet, okay? And so he's just not ready to be a pro yet. So for him, it's going to be going to the Korn Ferry Tour next year, or even yet probably later this year. He'll probably get some starts on the Korn Ferry Tour. If he would have stayed here, he would have gotten some starts on the Korn Ferry Tour. Well, you can't earn that much money on the Korn Ferry Tour even if you play really well, and he'll probably struggle for a year. Maybe next year he'll get a little bit bigger, stronger, and better, and then he might be able to qualify for the PGA Tour, but that's over 2 years down the road. And so he's playing for a couple years here at small money. So so let's say he goes to the PGA Tour in the 3rd year and his sponsor money gets good, but you know, he's going to struggle that first year on the PGA Tour, not going to make a lot of money there, going to be close to whether he saves his card or not save his card. But let's say he makes the top 125 and does, that's probably a little bit north of $1 million. Then he's got his sponsor money. But Carlos, if they're going to pay him $15 million or even $20 million guaranteed, he can't make that in 4 or 5 years staying and playing in the PGA Tour. He's going to get that lump sum boom in 1 year, right? He's going to have to really scramble and work hard to make probably half of that or 2/3 of that in the United States. So I guess if you look at it that way, you can say, well, I don't care if I don't care if I'm not recognized in the United States. I got my guaranteed money. I'll play for 3 or 4 years on the LIV. If they're going to pay me that kind of money guaranteed, I'm good to go. I don't need the PGA Tour. So if you look at it that way, if you look just from a dollars and cents standpoint, you take the emotional part of not being on the PGA Tour and playing where the Sneeds and the Nicklauses and the Hogans and the Palmers have played before you and the Tiger Woods, then if you just look at it's a business. And that's another thing I want to bring up. So yeah, Pyatt surprised me, okay? But as I dig into it and think about it, it probably makes sense. So you mentioned Graeme McDowell, former U.S. Open champion. He's at the tail end of his career. Once again, the guaranteed money for less events is very appealing for someone at that stage in his career. And Graeme had a very good interview with Sports Illustrated Morning Read, Bob Harry, about this decision. I'm going to quote from some of that. He admits he's concerned about the consequences of signing up to play in the first LIV Golf Invitational Series, but believes he made the correct decision. He said, quote, I'm happy to see the field being announced. I think it's a strong field. It was a very difficult decision. It's a difficult decision as a player when there's so many unknowns. We don't know what the reaction is going to be. It just boils down to the fact I am a business and I've operated all over the world for 20 years. This is a compelling opportunity. It's a fun format. There are some guarantees there. At the end of the day, it's another golf tour, which we've operated all over the world for the last 20 years. I feel like I have the right to do that. So as a free agent and an individual contractor, he should have the right to go play where he wants to play. So Graeme McDowell, I get it. Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter, I get it. James Pyatt, I'm saddened that he needs to do this, but I understand why he's doing it, Carlos.
I definitely do. And it's so tough because people are just saying there's both sides of the coin here. They're the ones that, of course, they're selling out. It's all about the money. It's not about golf. That's all they are. They're just wash out players that that's what they're looking for. They have no other way of doing it. But same opportunity, the other guys have it.
If the people that are complaining, if they had this opportunity at their job, if they had the opportunity to go and make 10 times guaranteed what they can make in the next 4 or 5 years, they'd jump at it in a heartbeat.
Of course they do. I'll do it.
Exactly.
I'll do it right now. What? I'm leaving. Sorry.
I'm going to tell you what, it wouldn't take $125 million for me to go. I'm telling you that right now. Way less.
Way less than that. But no, definitely. It's just that. And then there's the other side that really praises them for taking the stand and, trying to, hey, the PGA Tour has done great things. I mean, we have talked about it, all the charitable donations and all that stuff that happens. That is amazing work. They're trying to make their best, of course, to enhance the game, to grow the game. The top players are there, and even Dustin Johnson said it is the best golf tour out there. But why? And that's what's going to come next, right? What comes next now? Because we haven't heard. We only know what the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour had said they were going to do. Now it's for them to actually put into action the words they said. Because we have on one side Greg Norman saying, we're ready. We have the lawyers here. Is everything going? It's set, go. And it would take, and we said this, it would just take one big time player to do it, to put the PGA Tour in a precarious position. Because I am sure right now that all those other players are waiting to see what's going to happen. They're waiting to see what's going to happen, because the best that can come out of this is a unified tour, or maybe some collaboration between them. That's what the golfers, if you really want to grow the game, that's what you have to look about. Let them play, as you have said, then everybody says they are independent contractors. I go play in this league. I go play in this league. That's what everybody does. While I'm in this league, I play in there. While I'm in this league, I play in the other place. And we know right now that there's still, they announced the field is 48 players, okay? So there's still 6 gaps to fill because they announced 42 before the tournament begins, with 5 of them up for grabs at this week's International Series. So that will leave 1 slot unaccounted for. So speculation starts, right? Until it is, there's sure to be further speculation that Phil Mickelson will choose the 54-hole team event to mark his comeback after taking a break from the game following his controversial comments, right? So we know that 5 are going to come here. There's just 1 staying there. And something tells me that I think Phil is going to be that one. And, he's just biding his time, because if Dustin Johnson made it, now there's no excuse for Phil Mickelson not to do it. He hasn't played in the PGA Championship. He didn't defend his title. He didn't play in the Masters. What's left? I mean, the U.S. Open is the one that he has never played. I mean, he has never won. But at this moment, I don't think he has, because of the comments we have said, it's very difficult.
They're paying Dustin Johnson $125 million. What are they paying Phil?
Something close to that. I'm sure it's going to be 100 at least.
Exactly.
It's going to be 100 at least. So it's going to be a no-brainer for Phil to do it at his age, We know he won the PGA Championship last year, but I totally think that last slot is going to go for Phil Mickelson. And then the what's next, Fred, is really what we have to think about. What's going to happen? I just think lawyers are gearing up right now. And the PGA Tour, there's a reason why they haven't come out yet with a specific comment about what Dustin Johnson did.
Yeah, we've been talking about this now for over 2 years, and we're really right now really getting into the heat of it. We're really seeing things start to happen. So we'll be updating. We'll keep following it, and there's going to be lawsuits there because these guys are going to want to come back and play in some of the PGA Tour events, and the PGA Tour said, no, you're out. You're not a member. You can't play. Well, if they've got eligibility, if they've got they still got eligibility left on the PGA Tour, they're going to say, hey, you can't keep me out. I've already earned this. I should be able to play here, guys. You can't keep me out. I'm sorry. Just because I want to play this event, you should not be able to keep me out of something that I've already earned, like a major championship or like one of the big ones, like Memorial or whatever, okay? So that's when some more stuff's going to happen, when some of these guys want to come back and play in some of the events, and the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour is going to say, no, you're out. So, Carlos, I got kind of a summary that I want to wrap up here. Are you ready for that?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. Well, you know that the PGA Tour's members hide themselves in the cloak of raising money for charity. But the LIV series exposes a real truth about professional golf. If you pay them, they will come. Yes, the pros all set up huge charities with their $1 million paydays they get when they win golf's biggest events. But the truth is, those are mainly for tax purposes. They can pay themselves big salaries for administering the trust while only donating a small percentage of the money to actual charities. The mix of players in the field for the LIV event in London is a mix of young and old. Most of the field are European players near or at the end of their competitive years and have been struggling to make the big bucks in America. Their rush to take the guaranteed money from the LIV is somewhat understandable. Sergio's petulant comments a few weeks ago about an unfavorable ruling from the tour staff is completely unacceptable, however. The PGA Tour has furnished a venue for Sergio to make a ton of money. He's earned $54 million. In 400 starts, he only has 11 wins, won one major, the Masters, and instead of belittling the tour, he should be grateful for everything he has been able to accumulate by being a PGA Tour member. He comes off as a spoiled brat, and that may explain his runners-up in the big events rather than the more major wins. Dustin Johnson bolting for the PGA Tour to play in England without a hall pass from the PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan is a clear act of, I don't care about your stinking releases or your PGA Tour. I'm going where the guaranteed money is, and you can go fish. DJ is one of the premier earners on the PGA Tour and has been for 15 years. He has 24 wins, won a Masters green jacket, a U.S. Open trophy, and earned over $74 million. The 24 wins place him 26th on the career wins list, tied with Gary Player and the great English player, Jim Barnes. He's a lock for the Golf Hall of Fame when the time comes around. Is he throwing all of that away? Well, the Masters continue to invite him to play in their little tournament every year. Even though he is a past champion, Fred Ridley told him earlier this year that an invite is not a guarantee, it's only a tradition. I'm afraid there will be lawsuits forthcoming for the players' rights to play whenever and wherever they want. Guaranteed money and the lack of big checks going to local charities, plus being funded by the Saudi government, is troubling to someone who has grown up a fan of watching the world's best golfers compete on the PGA Tour week in and week out. The times they are changing, Carlos. It appears we will have a lot to talk about as this thing continues to develop over the next couple of years.
It will, and finally we are at that point. I mean, and like you said, very well, you pay them, they will come. 48 players will eventually complete the field that will participate for first prize money of $4 million at the opening event, while the player finishing last will still receive about $120,000. I'll take that, man, just for showing up, finishing the tournament, $120,000. You're not going to do that anywhere else. So the big thing here is I am sure we are just in the cusp of what's going to happen, the battles and all that. And we'll be here to bring you everything because we have been doing it so far, and we enjoy this. This is going to be. I just think at the end of all this, time will tell. Time will finish everything, covering everything, and then we'll have a unified world tour. That it's been what we've been waiting for, and I think it will be better for it. I don't think the PGA Tour, they will do their stand, but at the end, I think golf will be better for it.
If they just listened to us 2 years ago, Carlos, it could have avoided all this.
Of course, I mean we were ready, and for a lot less money,
Exactly.
we had it all.
We would have done it for 10 million.
Easy. So much money they're throwing around. that 100 that they were going to give Jack, just give us 10. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. We can figure it out.
Yeah. And anyway, we thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest in the world of golf news and information. Remember to subscribe to our channel. We are going to keep coming here and bringing you the latest every time that it comes out. The subscription is right down there. The link is right down there. So go for it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us.